Welcome back. All right, so we got 5 games to talk about in the review tonight, and I'm also going to add a news tidbit at the end of this because there was kind of a major signing that took place. So I wanted to just touch on that tonight before I turn in, rather than wait for tomorrow's news video and all that fun stuff. Tomorrow's Monday. Normally on Monday, it's injury update day. It's when everybody goes to the doctor and we find out how long all these players are going to be out. All right, we'll start things off talking about Nashville and Pittsburgh. The game that started at 6 a.m. my time. Nah, I did not get up at 6 a.m. I was up this morning at a little after 8. So, yeah, it was Saros versus Murashov. So, Murashov in net for the Penguins. They might have themselves a good goaltender here. Just saying. At 2:19, Wotherspoon opens the scoring for Pittsburgh. The assist to Karlsson and Koppanen. So, Karlsson on the board. Good for Swedish fans to see a Swedish player on the board there. And then at 8:08, Malkin gets what I believe is his 4th of the season, the assist to Hayes and Mathis. So 2-0 for Pittsburgh, and a little over 2 minutes later, Crosby unassisted. 10 minutes and 13 seconds in, it's 3-0 Pittsburgh. That would be the lead through the first period, where Nashville had 2 shots and Pittsburgh had 3 goals. So tough time for Nashville. Now, they had the much better second period in terms of shots. They had 8. They also had 3 power plays during that period. They didn't score on any of them. And so we go to the third period. Eventually, they pull the goaltender. They're down by 3. They got to give it a shot. And at 17-12, Lizotte hits the empty net to make the final score in this one 4-0. The Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Tony the Tiger magnets on the board because Murashov was great. Shots on net in this one, 11-2 Pittsburgh in the first, 8-4 Nashville in the second, 11-7 Nashville in the third. Final shots 22-21 for Pittsburgh. Power plays, Nashville 0 for 4. Pittsburgh did not have one. The hits 27-15 Nashville. Saros saves 18 out of 21 in the loss. Murashov, his first win and a shutout. 21 saves on 21 shots, so kudos to Murashov there. And for the Penguins, they get a split. Nashville, of course, gets the split as well. And now these teams will be coming home and playing later on this coming week. And, yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Do you think this was a big success or not? The one thing that I wonder is, when I saw it was Nashville and Pittsburgh, I thought, neither of these teams are really considered contenders. I do think that for the overseas games, if you sent, say, Colorado and Florida, or if you sent over Vegas and Tampa, like teams with a lot of big stars, I don't know, just an idea. And I know Pittsburgh has big stars on their team, obviously. Just thinking if you're going to, try to make these games a really big deal and get people excited, the teams you pick might be a little bit different. But I'm just saying. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about Vancouver and Tampa, the most surprising game of the day, and it's not close. Lankinen versus Johansson in this one. Radish has a wraparound that's held. Then we get some pushing there. Garland had a fight with Radish. Garland would leave the game, too, not long after. Lightning press are kept to the outside. Shots are 4-0 in favor of Tampa at 4 minutes. Lots of time in that Canuck zone in the first half of that period. We get a post for Sabourin. The shots were up to 8-0, and the shots were 9-1 for Tampa with 6.5 minutes left. Near miss for Sabourin as the Bolts press. The Canucks get stuck on one shot through, the entire first period. And at 19:25, they're behind because Kucherov, with a one-timer and a cross-ice pass, scores from Radish and point. And what I was waiting for was, because they're just getting all these opportunities, Tampa to just start lighting up Vancouver. They've done it before. Bolts nearly added another, too, before the period's out. So it's 1-0 in favor of Tampa after the first. Second period, I thought it was a much better start for Vancouver. They were getting opportunities, but Tampa would make it 2-0. At 4:35, it's a point shot past a screen. It's tipped in by Jake Gensel. Chernak and Hagel with the assist. So Hagel back in the lineup. Tampa with a 2-0 lead. The Canucks look to respond. We get a power play for Vancouver. That's killed off. Shots are 4-2 for the Canucks at 9 minutes. Canucks go back to the power play. They score on this one. At 9:26, DeBrusk buries a rebound from the doorstep. Pettersson and Hughes with the assist. That is number 40 in terms of Pettersson's. So his point streak continues. He's actually producing really well. He now has 7 points in his last 4 games. Canucks press with 6.5 minutes left. We get a power play for Tampa. That's killed off. The Bolts go back to the power play. That's killed off as well. Then there's a press by Tampa with a minute and a half left. So those back-to-back Tampa power plays being killed off. David Kampf is already having an effect, and he's not playing yet. So it's 2-1 for Tampa after 2. Third period, early press by the Canucks. This is where they announced that Garland would not be returning to the game. We have a post for Radish as Tampa gets some pressure. Dastus can't bury one in close. Besser has a rush chance. That's held. We get a power play for the Canucks, and they score on it. it's buried in close by Sherwood at 4 minutes and 11 seconds. Besser and Hughes with the assists. And then there's a train coming with goals here. 4:54, the next one rolls into the station. It's tipped in on his birthday. Linus Karlsson gets the goal from McEachern. It showed as McEachern's goal for the longest time, but after the game was done, it was credited to Karlsson. Then at 5:51, so not even a minute after that, it is O'Connor. It's a tipped point shot for him. Quinn Hughes and Hronik with the assist. So Hughes had himself quite the game today. And suddenly Vancouver has a 4-2 lead. The shots are 9-5 Vancouver with 9.5 minutes left. Bolts press with 8 minutes left. Tampa scores. They challenged for a missed stoppage, and it worked. So the ref is told that he sucks, but it stays 4-2. And then it's a point shot tipped in. McEachern gets the goal this time from Hronik and Hughes at 13:52. So you have to pull the goalie early because you're down by 3. And Marcus Pettersson hits the empty net at 16:57. And EP40, Elias Pettersson with the assist, as well as Ratu. With 29.6 seconds left, we get a bunch of pushing and punching, and it's fine. Vancouver wins 6-2 in this one. So very surprising result. Not necessarily the score. If you told me before today, that game's going to be 6-2, I'd say, well, Vancouver struggles when it comes to some of these games in Florida. But it's the first half of a back-to-back. They're in Florida against the Panthers tomorrow. They do beat Tampa. So shots on net, 13-1. Tampa in the first, and then both teams had 6 shots in the second. Both teams had 11 shots in the third. Final shots are 30-18 for Tampa. Power plays, Vancouver 2 for 3, Tampa 0 for 2. The hits, 27-18 for Vancouver. Lankinen saves 28 out of 30. Johansson had a rough game. 12 saves on 17 shots. So that's a rough one. Not going to lie, that definitely helped the Canucks' chances today. All right, other game on this board is Vegas and Minnesota. Lindbaum versus Gustafsson in this one. Boldy has a rush chance this block. The only shot on net belongs to Vegas 4 minutes in, and then at 4:47, it is Minnesota opening the scoring. Eriksson Ek, it's a cross-ice pass and in, and it's the first shot on net for Minnesota. The assist to Zuccarello and Johansson. So Johansson stays hot. It's 1-0 Minnesota. The Wild press for another. We get a power play for Vegas. That's killed off. Vegas then gets some pressure after it's done. Shots are 6-4 Minnesota at the half. Faber has a prime opportunity that gets blocked out. The Wild draw a power play. That then becomes 20 seconds of 4-on-4, and then Vegas is on the power play, and Vegas scores pretty quickly after going to that power play. At 15:14, Dorofeev buries a rebound from the side of the net. Marner and Hurdle with the assists. We have a 1-1 tie. Marner has a rush chance that's held with 2:20 left. The Wild go back to the power play. That's killed off. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period. Early press by Vegas. The Wild then get some pressure 4 minutes in, but the shots are 3-0 Vegas 4.5 minutes in. The Wild draw a power play. Vegas kills that off. Bowman has a rush chance. That's blocked. Hurdle has a net drive chance that's saved. The Wild then rush the other way. And at 9:06, from the side of the net, Trenyan puts one through Lindbaum. The assist to Yurov and Foligno. So Minnesota has the lead back at 2-1. Hutton then has a wrister that's held as Vegas gets some pressure. Eriksson X denied as the Wild get some pressure of their own at the other end. Vegas with some pressure in the final minute, and that draws them a power play with 32.3 seconds left. So we're going into the third period. Minnesota had 2-1. Vegas on the power play to start the third. There's a post for Eichel. That's as close as they get there. The Wild finish the kill. Shots are 2-1 Vegas at 3 minutes. Vegas goes back to the power play. Eichel has a wrister that's blocked out. And then at 6:35, Riley Smith has a wrister that's deflected top shelf. He scores from Theodore and Barbashev, and Vegas ties the game at 2. Faber has a deflected point shot that's held. The teams trade turnovers. Vegas presses with 5.5 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not in the final minute. Vegas then presses to close it out. So it's 2-2. We're going to overtime, as not as many games did today. Didn't see as much overtime. Low scoring games, but not as much overtime. So in the overtime, Vegas controls early. Boldy prevents a Vegas goal. Zuccarello has a wrister that's held. We then get a power play for the Wild. There was a lot of complaining about this call. And honestly, I mean, killing the power play, I've always said, and I'm going to be consistent, killing the power play is a choice. You can kill the power play. They don't. At 4 minutes and 50 seconds, it's a one-timer on a cross-ice pass. Kaprizov scores from Zuccarello and Boldy. So it's a 3-2 overtime win for Minnesota, getting themselves closer to that playoff line. Shots on net, 11-8 Minnesota in the first, 8-6 Vegas in the second, 9-7 Vegas in the third. Minnesota had all 3 shots in the overtime. Final shots, 27-25 for Minnesota. Power plays, Vegas 2 for 4. Minnesota 1 for 4. The hits, 30-15 Minnesota. Lindbaum saves 24 out of 27. Gustafsson saves 23 out of 25. But yeah, so these things can happen. Sometimes those penalty calls don't necessarily go your way. That being said, let's take a look at what's going on the second board. Detroit and the Rangers. So it's Talbot versus Quick in this one. Both wearing their Centennial jerseys. It's about time we saw a red versus blue hockey game. Red versus blue, and I've talked to my wife about this. I've noticed on every game show it's Team Red versus Team Blue. Why can't we have hockey teams where it's red versus blue? Nobody has a black and white set anymore. I don't believe Wyshynski on that at all. It looked fantastic. What an absolutely gorgeous game to watch, Detroit and the Rangers. Honestly, the lone shot on net was for Detroit at 3 minutes, so it didn't start off as like an exciting game, but pretty, very much so. Kasper's denied on a fast break. Brodzinski has a rush chance that's held. Things get pushed in a hole by Talbot. Shots are 4-2 for Detroit with 8.5 minutes left. The Wings press with 7.5 minutes left. Larkin has a wrister that's held with a crowd in front of the net. Robertson fires one high as the Rangers get some pressure. Cooley has a rush chance that's blocked. Laba's denied. There's momentum for the Rangers with 1:19 left. The Rangers go to the power play. Kopp was denied during a shorthanded rush. It's scoreless after the second period. The Wings start off by finishing the kill. Kopp has a rush chance that's saved. Detroit draws a power play. That's killed off. Trocheck's denied on a rush of his own. Shots are 7-3 Detroit at 7 minutes. They were all over the Rangers. The Wings go back to the power play. DeBrincat can't bury one in close, and then he does. 9 minutes and 30 seconds. DeBrincat gets the power play goal, though it was going in. It was on the line. Honestly, that should have been Raymond's goal. I think when somebody poaches it off the goal line like that, they should go, nah, it's the other guy's goal. Come on. But anyways, DeBrincat's credited with the goal. Raymond and Kane with the assists at 9.5 minutes. We have a 1-0 lead for Detroit. Then we get a power play for the Rangers. Zibanejad has a one-timer that's saved, and then his next opportunity goes in at 11:59. It's Zibanejad bearing a rebound. Panarin and Cooley with the assists. The Rangers have a goal at home. Time to crack open a beer and celebrate. I don't drink. The Wings press. They draw a power play. That's killed off. Shots are 18-7 for the Wings with 5 minutes left. Not great win as the Rangers at home. I don't understand. Rangers press with 4.5 minutes left. Schneider has a shot that's held as the Rangers press. It's 1-1 after 2. Third period, Kane has a rush chance that's held, and that's the only shot on net through the first 3 minutes. Larkin then has a net feed that's picked off. The Rangers have a 3-on-2. That misfires. Appleton fires one high on a rush. Things get pushed in a hole by Quick. The Wild draw a power play. That leads to 2 seconds of 5-on-3. In the end, everything gets killed off. It's cleared so they can get a line change afterwards. Shots are 9-1 Detroit with 8 minutes left. Rangers press with 7.5 minutes left. And eventually, it's Detroit getting the lead at 16-13. Raymond goes kind of beast mode. He goes around the net, comes out front, and just outweights Quick and the defense. It's like, I'll hold this puck as long as I have to. Gets his opening, and he buries it. So it's 16-13. It's Raymond from Larkin and Sider. Beautiful goal by Raymond. Makes it 2-1. Goalie pull happens with 2:05 left, with 1:49 left. There's an icing by the Rangers. The goalie pull happens with 1:15 left. Detroit actually pressed for a bit there to prevent the goalie pull from happening earlier. With 48.8 seconds left, there's a timeout. And in the end, whatever they discuss doesn't matter. Now, things get kind of brawly at the end of the game because a puck is shot into the empty net after the horn. I always find it so weird that players get so mad about something like that. Just, it's whatever. It's what it is. I just find it weird. But at any rate, Detroit wins the game 2-1. I guess the brawl at the end might overshadow things for people, but the chess magnet's on the board because 3 goals or less. And Detroit was just the better team. If anything, the Rangers right now are very likely quite frustrated because they just find ways to lose on home ice. They're great on the road, and at home, not so much. Look at the shots. 9-6 Detroit in the first, 19-10 Detroit in the second, 14-3 in the third period. This is a Rangers team that knows how much it desperately needs to win at home and they got 3 shots in the third period. Final shots 42-19 for Detroit. Power plays, Detroit 1 for 5, the Rangers 1 for 2. The hits 26-23 for the Rangers. Talbot saved 18 out of 19. Jonathan Quick was fantastic. If not for Jonathan Quick, I think this score would have been 5 or 6-1. So 40 saves on 42 shots by Quick. I understand his frustration at the end because he did everything he could and they lost it. So yeah, things in New York not really getting better. And it's weird because when they're on the road, they just look so good. And then at home, they say no. So I don't know what to make of it. You guys can let me know your thoughts. All right. Is that brawl still going on the ice in New York? Anyways, the Islanders were in Colorado. So the other team named New York in Colorado against the Avs. Sorokin versus Wedgwood. The Avs pressed a minute and a half. Heineman scores, but was it a kick? They ruled no. So it's the first shot on net at 2:05. Heineman scores from D'Angelo and Palmieri. And the Avs wanted an explanation of why nobody put on a headset. Colton has a turnover chance. That's caught and held. The Avs draw a power play. Brindley has a wrister that's held as that power play comes to an end. The Avs have a 3-on-2 that misfires. The Islanders press at 9.5 minutes. Barzal has a rush chance. That's caught and held. Natchez has a net feed that gets picked off. The shots are 4-3 for the Islanders with 5.5 minutes left. They did a very good job of controlling the Avs tonight, to be honest. The Avs are a very explosive team, and you wouldn't have known that if you just watched this game and you hadn't seen all their other ridiculous games. McKinnon has a net feed that's picked off. It stays 1-0 Islanders after 1. Second period, Romanov has a net feed that's blocked. The Islanders press at 3 minutes. Horvat's denied on a net drive, and 4.5 minutes in, the shots are 3-2 for the Islanders. And as I'm writing this, at 4:32, Colton fires one past Sorokin on a rush. So every now and then that happens. It happens. I used to erase it. I used to just go, I'm erasing that. That's right before the goal. But whatever. So Colton fires this one in. Makar and Nelson with the assist. So Brock Nelson, former Islander, on the board with an assist. And then at 5:51, Olofsson tips in a point shot. So the Avs just got some momentum here. The Islanders didn't have an answer. Malinsky and Landeskog with the assists. So all of a sudden, Colorado was a 2-1 lead with 2 goals in less than a minute. The Avs pressed for another, and you could see that they had finally switched on. The Avs were controlled by the Islanders, and then all of a sudden they flipped that switch, and they were playing like the Avs. Then we get a power play for the Islanders. That's killed off. The Islanders press after it ends. Lehkonen is absolutely robbed on a breakaway. Sorokin had a very good game. I know in the end his stats aren't necessarily great, but he had a really good game. We get a power play for Colorado, so the Islanders kill that off. Barzal misses one with Wedgwood down. There was a just wide open net, just could not hit it. Good forechecking by Colorado, and the Avs are controlling play in the closing minutes. Things get pushy and punchy with 1 minute and 53 seconds left, and then with 53.9 seconds left, the Islanders go to the power play. So it is 2-1 in favor of Colorado after 2, but the Islanders have the power play to start the third. Barzal has a wrister, that's caught and held. The Avs do finish the kill. Palmieri then has a rush chance, that's held. The Avs press at 3.5 minutes. We get a power play for the Islanders. Then we get a battle between Lee and Manson. I don't know if I want to call it a fight. Manson wins it, and they gave an extra 2 minutes to Lee. And I mean, they showed the replay. I was watching the Islanders broadcast just for the record, and I didn't see anything that was worthy of an extra 2 minutes there, but all right. Everything gets killed off, and the fans were wanting a 5-on-3 penalty during the 5-on-4, so the referee is still informed that he sucks after the Avs are done their power play. The Islanders press with 9.5 minutes left. The shots are 6-4 Colorado with 9 minutes left. The Avs press. Landeskog has a net feed. That gets held. Makar is denied on a rush. 3:20 left. The Islanders get a power play. Palmieri is absolutely robbed from the slot. That was the chance. The Islanders call a timeout with 2:18 left, and then with 2:10 left, they pull the goaltender for 6-on-4, and at 19:25, Natchez hits the empty net to make it 3-1, and then 19 seconds later, Brock Nelson, against his former goaltender and his former team, gets the goal at 19:44, and it was an oof of a goal, but Sorokin had a pretty good night up until then, and it's a 3-1 game with 30 seconds left. I can't get too mad at him about it. 4-1 win for Colorado on the night. So Colorado's won 28 games in a row, something like that. Shots on net are 7 apiece in the first, 11-10 Colorado in the second, 12-11 Islanders in the third. Both teams had 29 shots. Power plays, Colorado 0 for 4. Islanders 0 for 4. Colorado 0 for 3. I put those upside down. I'm going to fix it. So the shots, it was 11-10 for the Islanders in the second and 12-11 Colorado in the third. I'm going to do it in a different color because how else am I going to learn? So yeah, the hits were 17-11 for Colorado. Sorokin saves 25 out of 28. Wedgwood had another good game, 28 saves on 29 shots. He's really turning into quite the workhorse for the Colorado Avalanche. And, you know, there's that dedication to hockey trophy. The Masterton doesn't just go to guys who get through injuries. Sometimes it goes to guys who have a season like Wedgwood's having out of nowhere. Guy who's been a backup his whole career and all of a sudden looks pretty darn good. That's dedication to hockey. All right, let us discuss. Adrian Kempe was signed to an extension by the LA Kings today. It is an 8-year extension. It is a $10.625 million cap hit. Both Kempe and the Kings wanted this to get done. I'm glad that it's done. They know that Kopitar is retiring at the end of the season. I cannot see them, I could not have seen them not keeping Kempe, especially since he wanted to stick around. Keep in mind that next season, you can't get an 8-year deal. You can only get 7. So there are a lot of players right now getting those 8-year contracts. And next year's UFA class just gets weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. I do think it's maybe time for me to do a video on who's left for next year's unrestricted free agent crop. Because a lot of the big names that people were all anxious about last July when they were like, oh, don't worry about this free agent class. 2026 is where the big names are. Nah, most of them have been signed. And so we can take a look at it. But yeah, Kempe's off the board. And the Kings made the right call. The cap hit, I don't think is terrible, considering where the salary cap is going, considering how much money other wingers have got this year. I think that's perfectly reasonable. All right, let us take a look at the standings. All right, so Colorado, 13-1-5 in 19 games, 31 points. They've now opened up a 4-point lead over Dallas. Both those teams red hot, so when they meet each other, that could be a fun matchup. Nothing changes for the Pacific's top 3 teams. Vegas moves back above the playoff line, 8-4-6. 6 lost points from overtime and shootouts. Man, 22 points in 18 games. So they move ahead of Minnesota and Edmonton. That's right, Minnesota 9-7-4 have now tied Edmonton in terms of their overall record. So not too shabby. Utah drops down 10-7-1, 21 points in 18 games. Vancouver now has 20 points in 20 games with a record of 9-9-2. They move past San Jose, who do have a game in hand. And Nashville, now 6-10-4. They're only 3 points ahead of Calgary, and they do not have any games in hand. So there's the possibility Calgary could pass Nashville at the bottom of the standings. In the Atlantic, look who's second. Detroit. Boston's number 1, Detroit's number 2. Just like we all expected. 11-7-1 record, 23 points in 19 games. I thought it was a decent win today, although we know the Rangers can't play at home, right? So that is something you kind of got to take into consideration. Pittsburgh, with their win, they move within a point of Carolina, 10-5-4, 24 points in 19 games. The Islanders are the number 1 wild card. Their record is, is that the right record? 10-7-2? It is, isn't it? I'm gonna double check on my phone. I don't need to pause for that. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that I updated that and I did it right. Yeah, 10-7-2. Why do I second guess myself? Ottawa 9-6-4, 22 points in 19 games. The Rangers drop below the playoff line, 22 points in 20 games, a record of 10-8-2. Tampa 9-7-2, costly loss today. They have 20 points in 18 games. They have the same record as Columbus, and nobody else below them played today, so nothing else changed. We have 6 games tomorrow in the NHL, so standings are going to see some changes there, and only 8 games on Thursday, so that's kind of nice. I'll be able to do the notes on a Tuesday, which is unusual, but I should be able to do the notes on a Tuesday. I basically just make sure that I'm doing the board without the notes, the modified new way that I do the reviews. On nights where I know it's going to be really, really busy. Like yesterday, there were like 11 games on at the same time for a brief time there, and I'm like, I don't know. I could try to do notes, but that's where I start getting a headache and it starts driving me crazy. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Channel is set to move past another 1,000 subscribers, so go ahead and hit like and subscribe and help get the channel over that hump. And thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated, and it keeps me doing this on the daily. So that being said, I'm done for now. I will talk to you again in the morning, and it'll be the preview in the morning. And we'll see what team I do a video on next. I do feel like I should do a team-centric video tomorrow as well. So stay tuned.